It is the role of science in the history of things. And I explained that. And another important thing I want to tell you, this research, this science is nothing something difficult. Do you see the picture? Is it visible? Yes. What are these grains? Channa. A person, research topic of PhD, I saw that the effect of sulfuric acid or ascorbic acid or whatever on Cicer aritinum. And he used to tell people that I have done my PhD in nanotechnology. But his PhD was on chana, right? This is the main bridge. The main bridge. That if people tell you that investigate the effect of superphosphate on the production of maize, then the jowar is your own. Superphosphate is known to you. The field is your own. You grow plants in one field and in the other field parallel, same environment, all parameters the same, and use superphosphate for one and not for the others. Because, why this is? This is because you had adopted agriculture revolution. Your parents had adopted it. Your grandparents had adopted it. And that is why you know maize. Why you know superphosphate. Why you know the fertility of the land. Why do you know the taste of the maize? The quality of the maize. Because you had adopted that revolution. And you can easily do that. Grow maize in two fields in parallel, use superphosphate for one and not for the other. At the end, take the product from both fields, weigh them, measure the volume, measure the chemistry, measure the taste, and you will say this happened to this particular crop because of the superphosphate. The technologically advanced world research is also the same. But they are using the word Cicer aritinum. And you don't know the Cicer aritinum and you think there is something, a huge beast type thing. How will I do it? It is something from the sky, right? Because you haven't adopted the technological revolution. So the most important thing is that if I see that I measure the effect of tantalum doping on the strontium niobate, then it is the same thing as the effect of superphosphate on maize production. But maize and superphosphate is from my culture, and strontium niobate and tantalum is from British or American culture. And that is why I don't understand it. So please don't be scared of these things. You are the 21st century people. Come forward. You are at least not less than any developed nation. Our people from the fields of Pukhtunkhwa and the Pakistan, Punjab and different regions, they go to the Europe and Americas and they are the best teachers there. They are the best students there. They are the most productive people there. So never consider yourself less. You are not less. The weight of brain is equal for everybody on this earth. The capability of brain is equal. It is you, whether you use it or not use it. When you use it, your sickle, your flow develops a lot of products, bring you a lot of products. And if you don't use it, it will be rusted. Right? So this brain has every capability and use it. Another important question which the people usually think The European, the American, the Japanese, the British, the Russian, they have done a lot of research and the research has gone too forward. If I run with the fastest speed and work with the fastest possible speed, how can I reach them? This is wrong. The mankind, for the millions of years, they haven't yet explored the single carbon, right? They haven't explored the single carbon. The universe is very generous. The carbon was known to mankind 25,000 years ago. Its symbol was this, discovered in 3750. But people knew it, that this is carbon. The blackness was popular. Its atomic mass, and apart from other separate journals, the whole world, you'll go into any laboratory and you will see carbon nanotubes, carbon nanofibers. People are working around the world on carbon. This means that the mankind has not yet learned the carbon. I am not going into all details and will a little bit come back to the carbon, but the mankind had two fastest grown technologies in the world, and it changed the world completely. The first was this thing, to make a pot from the clay, to make a cup from the clay, to make a cooking pot from the clay and turn it white. And Chinese did it for the first time, and that is why now you call everything made of clay is Chinese pot. And the clay is called a China clay, right? And that revolution was so changeable that it changed the world. We used to be drinking water like animals. And when that part was developed, we became different from animals. What a big revolution it was, right? And it used to be called white gold in those days. And Chinese kept this secret for 1,000 years. The European, the British, the Germans, the Italian all tried their best, but they couldn't copy that. They could make pots, but they never turned white. And the Chinese never told them that skill for 1,000 years. So, you are coming through three different economies. Land, labor, natural resources. That was agriculture revolution. Then capital, labor, and management. That was industrial revolution. And the third is, which the three-piece suit mafia is propagating nowadays in Pakistan, is knowledge-based economy. Don't go on the slogans. Knowledge-based economy, I will explain to you, from the first day it was knowledge-based economy. From the day one, when man learned of economics, it was knowledge-based economy. When you have no knowledge, you can do nothing. But I usually tell my students that if it was in the power of the mankind, would they have left a single piece of bread for the next century, keeping in view the greed of the mankind? But Allah the Almighty has made a strange universe. And those, when there were, the population of the world was one person per 20 acre, they couldn't eat their proper food. But today, if the population is such that it is one person per one marla, they are eating a better food. Why? Because of the knowledge. Because of the knowledge. The universe is enormously generous. It has everything in it. And the key is the knowledge. If you have more knowledge, you will get more from it. If you have less knowledge, you will get less from it. And a little bit now coming towards the simplest example of that is your cell phone, right? It is sand, silica, quartz, silicon, and when it is on the bank of a river or on a sea beach, people will not buy it for free. But when the technical hands of the scientists and the engineers touch it, it becomes your cell phone, it becomes your optical fiber, and then you pay thousands of rupees per gram. And this classroom is the place to do that. So if this classroom is not making that product, then you are failed. We are failed. The nation is failed. Now come that I tell you the science is very simple. Don't get confused with it. This is a pulled. Yeah. So whatever you call it, there is a word for it. Check it on the internet. I'm not telling you. But when it is pulled, it has the ability to do work, right? When it is pulled, it has the ability to do work. When it is loose, it can't do any work. And the same is the atom. When it is uniform, the center of charge and the center of mass are coinciding, then it is a neutral spherical atom. It has no ability to do work. But when the center of mass and the center of charge are slightly displaced, you call it polarized atom. And that polarization responds to the field you apply, and it does some work. And that work is the technology of the modern world. Just the slight displacement of electrons from the center of the electron cloud. And when the atom is like that, it has the ability to do work. And most of the modern technology, ferroelectrics, dielectrics, piezoelectrics, they are all dependent on that. So how simple is it? The science is very simple, but visualize it in your mind. Don't make it into difficult. When I was coming to Pakistan, after many years, I asked one of my friend that how should I behave when I come to Pakistan? And he advised me that when you talk to people, just say very difficult and long English words, and you will be the most educated person in that society. So don't confuse things. Simplify things. Tell everybody that science is not something, it is much, much easier than poetry. Right? So encourage people. When you go there, let me tell you that you have the cell phone. Ask your elders. The wireless set used to be carried in huge lorries. It used to be too big, the wireless set. What made it to this small portable product? It was it was Richmeyer in 1939 who just proposed that you can use a solid state dielectric resonator instead of the vacuum cavity. He proposed in 1939, and in 60s people started to develop those resonators, and in 70s the Motorola, in 85 or 83 or 85 the Motorola had commercialized their first cell phone.